Hey, if you're new here, welcome. And if you've been around, well, welcome back. So this is October, and a lot of you might know or may not know that there's like a little daily challenge for October. It's called Inktober. So there's a list of specific prompts for every day of October. I decided not to do that. And I will tell you why I decided not to do that. But first, I'll give a little preview of the first 6 days of my Inktober. And I'm going to bring you along as I work on these. I decided for Inktober, because I love to do watercolors, that I would incorporate watercolor in with my inks. So instead of following the prompts that are listed for Inktober, I decided to use photos that I took at a recent ranch roping I was at. It's called Fiesta. It was a lot of fun to be there, and I got so many great photos. Last week or so I was going for the photos, and I was like, you know what? These would be cool little ink drawings. And that is when I decided not to follow the prompts that are listed for Inktober. For my Inktober, I am working in this specific pad of watercolor paper. This is Arches cold press, 140 pounds. So this is the paper that I normally use when I do my watercolor painting. So the cool thing about this is that this is a pad. So where it's black, it's kind of like a glue that holds the paper all together. And this white area here, this is where you can peel the pages apart. So this makes it super easy to work on something. You don't have to tape down your paper. So instead you just work on it like this. And when you are done, you just go ahead and you peel the pages apart. If you've seen the video about my fountain ink pen, I am using that same ink for this challenge because it is waterproof. And I am using my dip pen that I have used over the years, being in school and out of school. So those are my main supplies, along with some watercolor paints and my kneaded eraser and a couple different pencils that I use to sketch things out. So come along with me and let's see how I create these, shall we? I want to introduce you to day number 1, which is October 1st. I was really just trying to figure out what I wanted to do for my own Inktober challenge of working from photos that I took at a ranch roping called Fiesta. And so I found one photo, it had a lot of movement, super dynamic. And so I'm like, all right, I'm going to try this, sketch it out with my pencil first. And now I'm working on it with my dip ink pen with my waterproof ink. And so just working on getting familiar again with ink, especially my dip pen. Because with ink, once it's on the paper, you can't lift it off or erase it or even really cover it. It is what it is, and it's there to stay, especially that waterproof ink. So this photo had a very direct light source towards the right-hand side, so you'll see I made a lot of shadows in the left. And I'm just working on it, trying to create some more details with the deep darks and everything. And then now it's time to add watercolor. So I made a nice deep brown color, and I added even more water to the same color for down below. And then I added some salt and then some more color because it's still damp. And I was hoping that salt would make a really cool texture. Usually it does. Sometimes I'm just too impatient, and so it doesn't always work out, which is fine. So just playing around with where it's wet. And then I decided to paint in the horse too, make it into like a bay or something. And I gave some blue for the cowboy shirt, and so just kind of played around with that and did some splatter marks, and then he was done. So this is day 2, October 2nd. It was in the evening because life is busy sometimes. And so sketching out portraits. So definitely not a full body. I was like, okay, I think I need to do kind of like some cropped in style portraits. So sketched it out, and now it's time for the ink. This is a horse that I have painted multiple times. Multiple? Well, now it's multiple. His name is John, and he's a big boy. The announcer at Fiesta is like, yep, this horse has a granny year because he's a big Percheron mix horse, and I think they said he turned 20 this year. He's just a big, cool horse. He's a big, solid bay. He's so tall. Just a perfect horse almost. So, yeah. Anyways, I really enjoyed the tack. So the tack for a horse is like the bridle, the saddle, all the stuff that they use to help communicate to ride these big, beautiful animals. And so this horse has this big, giant piece of silver on his bit, and the bit is what goes in the mouth. And I wanted to do less watercolor on this one. I knew that after doing a lot of watercolor on the first day. Here I'm just still trying to figure out how I want to do my Inktober. I used to play with ink on and off quite a bit, and then I just kind of got out of it because watercolors. And so now I'm just still working on getting the hang of it, the feel of it. And if you want to see another ink illustration I did with this horse, he's in my sketchbook, so check out the video here and you can see John. It's mostly his legs, but helping with a little branding action. So roping the cow and then bringing it close so that they could brand it or take care of it or whatnot. So this one I mentioned I want to do less watercolor. So I just chose a couple colors and did his tack. So like the breast collar, the bridle, and the little get down rope. And of course his bridle. So I'm trying something different for day 3 and 4. For day 3 and 4, doing something different. I am using my fan brush and I made these texture marks and I let it dry. And now I am back at it again with my pencil. This time I grabbed a mechanical pencil because it's a pencil nonetheless. And I already put a piece of tape down the middle. And so I'm just working on sketching out the foundations of my ink drawing. This is another little portrait of a horse. And so this horse, you can see the hand of the rider holding on to the rope and the reins. And so I just wanted to show like the little connection with that one. The colors I chose to kind of put a wash down on this full page of this block of watercolor paper. Just something light, some nice neutral tans and kind of warm browns. And I'm not using those to help color in the horses. It's kind of like preparing the surface with something a little loose to add some interest. So, yeah, working on this guy. He's got a Makati with slobber tabs and a nice little bit on the outside, some silver work. So I thought that was pretty cool, which is one of the reasons that drew me towards this photo. And these photos I'm working from, I took them. Hopefully I mentioned that before, but these photos, let's see. The photos I took are like really wide shots, so you see like the entire horse. So I'm really looking through the photos and zooming in on the photos I took to get this really close little portraits. So yeah, there's a lot to choose from. I can take little vignettes of many vignettes from a lot of the photos. So I accidentally smudged my hand in the ink. Coming up, you'll see what happens. And so I'll have to fix that little boo-boo. And I fix that boo-boo by adding some whiskers around the little snoot, the muzzle. So I'm like, oh no, I got ink places. And that's what happens when you don't wait for it to dry and you, yep, there I got ink on me. And like, oh, fix the ink, give him some whiskers. And on we go to erasing. I make sure my ink is totally dry before I erase, or else, you know, more smudges. Okay, now we are at day 4. And once again, I am sketching out in pencil. I think this is a 4H pencil, so it's kind of the harder lead. And so I'm just sketching out the horse, and now I'm like, you know what, that's good enough. Let's do the ink. So I think I am getting the hang of it. Once again, I love the tack. Kind of a sucker for the silver. And so I just love all the varieties, especially like the handmade tack. That stuff is really special. So now I am doing some of the handmade reins. They're braided rawhide. And because horses like to drink water, the part that's closest to the bit is usually chain. And plus it helps with like the weight. So this is more of a bridle horse, more of a finished bridle horse as I recall. And so now I'm illustrating the little get down rope that runs underneath the horse's little chinny chin chin, and then it'll go up around his neck, and there's a little tassel here or a shoe fly. This tack is just really fascinating to me. I really like learning about it. And so more silver, all the silver, please and thank you. And a little fuzzy ear, so just playing around with different formats, different tack, you know, just fooling around, getting the hang of ink. I'm thinking getting there now. And I think I made the ear too dark, but moving on from that. The eye is one of the last things I like to do usually, because it just really brings the soul to the drawing. It's just really fun to see that come together. So yeah, this is day number 4. And just some finishing touches, keeping it nice and simple. All right, now it's time for day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I did some purple and some pink, using my fan brush to get some texture, and then adding some more of the color where it's still damp to really let it flow and be juicy and move around. And there was a little bit too much water, so I just dabbed that up with a paper towel, let gravity do its thing, and now I'm ready to sketch. This one I started with a pencil drawing. I did not like it, so I'm like, you know what? I'm going to erase it and just go right in with ink and see what happens. So that's how I'm doing this one. There's no pencil drawing. I'm like, okay, it's kind of being more like gestural in a way sometimes. Like maybe a little bit more fresh or disproportionate. You'll see that coming up. But just playing around, making sure that there is a really obvious light source that really helps with ink and with the shadows to help define things. So he's got his rope out, he's swinging it around, and I'm just playing around, adding in the shading. There's so many different ways to do shading with ink. It's kind of crazy. And overwhelming. Yep, I said it. It's overwhelming. And you can do it so it just looks bleh too, accidentally. And that's really easy to do. And jog your hand in it. That's easy to do, unfortunately, as well. All right, time for day, 6. Yep, 6. So I'm sketching out another horse and rider, and like, already having some problems. And this one, you'll notice that I didn't really hold it up so that it's like level with my eyes. So I just kind of see it, and it kind of elongates things if you're kind of sitting back and drawing. And that's what happened to me with this piece. I really like the photo, but I am not happy with the outcome, but I am still sharing it with you because it's still part of the process. It's part of learning. I heard somebody say once that if you go to a workshop and you come home with nothing good enough to hang or frame, that means you learned things. And as you learn, you know, things are not going to be good enough to frame or sell or show to the public sometimes, but it means you're learning, and that's really important. So that's how I feel with this one for day 6. That's how I feel. So, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to get out there and do it, build up the repetition. The more you do it, the better you get. And I'm just taking the paper off. I'm going to use my X-Acto knife and cut them, and now I'm done. Well, thank you so much for coming along with me. Stay tuned for more updates about my Inktober. If you are doing your own version of Inktober, or even if you are following the prompts, I would love for you to leave a comment below. Let me know what you're working on. And if you're posting on Instagram or Facebook, leave a link below, and you know, we can all see what you're working on. If you have enjoyed watching this video, I would love for you to give it a little like and subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. And if you want to see more like this, make sure to check out my next video. This is going to be about the rest of my Inktober that I've got going on. So, stay tuned for more Western ink drawings with some watercolors. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.